Type Soul was once the #1 Bleach game on all of Roblox, averaging over 20,000 players per day. However, since its prime less than 6 months ago, Type Soul is now averaging barely 0.1% of that. In today's video, I will be discussing the downfall of Type Soul and what the factors contributing to its inevitable failure were. Make sure to subscribe, and now let's get into it. Type Soul had a few important factors and events that led to its downfall. In chronological order, we will cover them as follows: the dependency of the community on codes from the release, the rarity of legendaries, the lack of consistent updates and the poor development team, the moderation team, the game assets being leaked, and kind of the release of Peroxide. All of these factors inevitably led to the game being where it is today, averaging less than 100 concurrent players daily, receiving little to no updates. The first major issue with Type Soul was the community's dependency on codes due to the legendary rates. Upon release, Type Soul had 1% legendary rates on everything. Some players like me, not to flex, got lucky and spawned with legendaries, like, Stark Res. Most did not, however. And with the strength of legendary resurrections and Shikais being overwhelming in comparison to commons, legendary modes could easily hard carry entire builds, which is well utilized and shown in my Stark Trio video. The community was also full of a lot of kids who, being on Roblox, are used to simulator games treatment of codes, where every update has codes which would give you many rewards, which would usually end up skyrocketing you between stages within the game. Type Soul's development team, however, didn't want the game to become reliant on codes, but when legendaries absolutely dominated the meta, with very few exceptions like Flame Shikai, it was hard for there to be balancing without nearly gutting all of the strongest modes in the game, or just making them really easy to obtain. Secondly, the development team really struggled with updates. This was especially a problem around the release date of Peroxide. Peroxide was extremely hyped up for the fact that it has much more content in comparison on release to Type Soul, with much better balancing, being that true stun combat is easier to balance. Peroxide essentially split the community into two sides. One was the Type Soul side, which believed Type Soul was superior for its better PvP systems, mostly consisting of players like me, who had legendaries, not to flex. The second side was mostly people who don't like combat that isn't true stun, people who prefer PvP games, and people who simply like Peroxide more for its linear progression and simple combat systems that are easier to pick up. You also have the little kids that don't like any combat that isn't true stun. There are a lot of those, but I don't want to attribute that to Peroxide's success, even though, mobile players are like 20,000 on the game. Regardless, Type Soul was in a really bad spot, and with Peroxide's release and their own lack of updates, the game was kind of destined to fail if they didn't get something out soon. But then another huge problem had arisen. Due to complications with the dev team, their lead scripter was fired and decided to try and take the game with him by leaking all of these scripts and assets, resulting in a ton of battleground style games using the leaked assets. This meant that in order to compete with all the stolen games, which had dedicated developers for some reason, they would need to update Type Soul fast to keep relevancy. This ended up with them rushing the Shark Resurrection and getting it out early. But this didn't really help the game at all. When the game is split into 3 factions, releasing content for only 1 out of 3 factions really only appeases a third of the community. And even then, it doesn't even appease a third of the community because most players are happy with their builds, and anyone that has a legendary isn't going to go for Shark, anyone that already has full res isn't going to go for Shark. So it appeased very little of the community. But then we can't forget about the drop rates, which were publicly listed as wrong. Shikai weapons were 10% instead of 1% on the legendaries, which resulted in a lot of controversy to the development team. I don't exactly know why people were mad about the higher rates, but they were. Some of the dumb logic I heard from, ironically, Soul Reaper players was that it promoted gambling because people would think they're lucky and keep spinning for legendary weapons, which is really bad reasoning because there's only 2 legendary weapons, and with a 10% chance per roll to get it, that's only like 10 rolls to get one. So in 20 rolls, you're basically guaranteed to get the weapon you want. Sure, you might not get the Shikai or Bankai you want, but that isn't even applicable because it's not independent from the weapon, so it's a dumb argument. And then there's the game's moderation team. I made a video on the top bans in Type Soul history. That's how bad the moderation team was. The fact that I can make a video on people getting banned and ranking the top Type Soul bans is insane. So many people got banned in this game without valid reasoning, and it's actually awful. Even I got banned from the Discord. Not the game, luckily, because, you know, I didn't really do anything that bad. But I got banned from the Discord because I told the head mod he likes boys. The mod team literally had to be rehauled because of how bad the mods were, and then they had to get a new wave of juniors. Today, Type Soul is sitting at 50 players, which is pathetically sad for a game that once peaked at 30,000 to 40,000, and Type Soul is dead, and there's nothing we can do about it. Apparently, the developers might be coming back, but even then, I am not sure if most of the community will come back. Anyway, chicken cooking style tier list. Alright, first up is grilled chicken, which is going into the C tier. It's the most convenient and easy way to make chicken, so it's good if you don't care about flavor, or texture, or quality, or anything except for the protein intake. Next up is roasted chicken, which is going into the B tier. There's a better version of it coming up in a second, but roasted chicken is quite good, and if seasoned and marinated well, can be very good. Next is rotisserie chicken, which is a direct upgrade to roasted or baked chicken. So it's going to be into the A tier. Poached chicken is F tier. Why are you taking the skin off this chicken to cook it? Just like, there's no good reason to ever make poached chicken. You're telling me you took the skin off of your chicken and then you cooked it. You're disgusting. Next up is boiled chicken, which for humans belongs in F, but you actually only use this to feed sick dogs, and dogs are cool. And they get to eat chicken sometimes, with boiled shredded chicken, so it's going into the D tier for dog. Next is fried chicken, which is going into the S tier, obviously. Who doesn't like fried chicken? It's perfect. Crispy, crunchy, flavorful, and overall an amazing style of chicken. And I love it. Next is microwave chicken. Who the fuck is microwaving chicken? Microwave chicken is F tier, but if you've ever eaten microwave chicken, you belong in the pits of hell. Next style of chicken is orange chicken. Another easy S tier, high protein, easy meal that tastes good and makes me want to kiss a Chinese woman on the lips. Just kidding, I like men. Next is air fried chicken, which is B tier. Less oil, so if you want to eat healthy, it's good, but honestly, air fryers are mid and overrated, and I think people are kind of hyping them up too much, especially with that whole, you clearly don't know an air fryer meme. Like, bro, you sound like a nerd. You clearly don't eat lots of saturated and monounsaturated fats, and your arteries are probably healthy, you fucking loser. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day and subscribe. Type Soul's kind of, you know, dead and dying and gone. The game, the devs said they might come back, which is kind of alarming. Because it's like, oh, the devs are going to come back, but it's like, are they really? Are they really going to come back? They made their money. They might just exit and leave, you know, just a little rug pull. I also think a really good way to look at this is like comparing the Peroxide and Type Soul dev teams and the potential of each game. I personally think that Type Soul is a better game, just because I think the combat kind of makes up for all of the lax development that goes on in that game. Overall, I just like Type Soul more. I don't really care for Peroxide, but that's just my opinion. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be streaming on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be reviewing your cooking. You can still submit to the cooking stream using the Google form link in my Discord or in the description and comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day, and goodbye.